What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and we're going to be doing a Silent Magician Spellbook deck profile. So I'm really excited to do something for you guys because this deck was actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Wesley. And this deck is an extremely powerful deck based on one of the most nostalgic monsters in the game, Silent Magician. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron. And definitely give Wesley some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one, guys. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Silent Magician. Silent Magician is definitely a 3-out in the build because it's our main boss monster of this deck. That has the ability, it cannot be normal summoner set, it must be special summoned from your hand by tributing a spellcaster monster. It cannot be special summoned by other ways. It gains 500 attack for each card in your hand, and once per turn, during either player's turn when a spell card is activated, you can negate the activation. And if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect in its own control and is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can actually special summon a Silent Magician monster from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, which is an amazing effect to instantly special summon out Silent Magician level 8, which we do play 1 copy in this build to special summon off the effect of Silent Magician. This card is amazing because this card is unaffected by your opponent's spell effects, and it comes out at 3,500 attack points, which is absolutely amazing. This card is extremely nostalgic, but you only need a single copy because you're only ever summoning this off the effect of Silent Magician. You have no other way to summon it in this deck, but it's still really good to be able to play it as a 1-of in the build to be able to summon off Silent Magician's effect. We then play 3 copies of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. Spellbook Magician is definitely a 3-up and one of the best normal summons in the entire deck, that when this card is normal summon, you actually get to add a Spellbook spell card from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect to be able to search out the exact card that you need. We then play a single copy of Ecclesia. Ecclesia is really good as a 1-up in the build because this card has the ability that if a monster is on the field that comes from the extract, you can actually special summon this card from your hand to your side of the field. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can activate the effect to add a Dogmatic card from your deck to your hand, which is a really awesome ability to add your copy of Fleur-de-Lis, Dogmatic Punishment, or even Maximus directly from your deck to your hand off this card's effect. We can play a single copy of Fleur-de-Lis. Fleur-de-Lis is really good as a 1-of in the build. This card is basically a walking infinite impermanent. We then play a single copy of Maximus. Maximus is one of the most important cards in the entire deck, because this card helps you go in for your copy of Winda. By summoning this card out to your side of the field, you can easily send a copy of Titaniclad plus a copy of Apocalypse from your extract to the graveyard, and once you do, you can discard a card for the effect of Apocalypse to be able to add Shadow Schism directly from your deck to your hand, so you can go in for Shadow Winda, which is a great ability to be able to just instantly summon out a copy of Winda and lock down your opponent. This card is amazing to be able to play in the deck, and just by activating Nadir, you can easily search this card directly from your deck to your hand, and it's an amazing 1-of in the build. We then play a single copy of Jowgen. Jowgen is great in the build as a 1-of as well because this card is summonable off your copy of Spellbook of Judgment and is the best target to be able to summon off it because this card is the ability that neither player can special summon monsters. Also, you can discard a random card from your hand to the graveyard to be able to destroy all special summon monsters on the field, which is a crazy powerful effect. We then play 2 copies of Magician Souls. Magician Souls is really good in the deck as a 2-up to help you dig into the deck, because this card has the ability you can send up to 2 spells and traps from your hand or field to the graveyard to draw that many cards, which is a great effect to be able to draw additional cards in this build. This card also has the ability that this card's in the hand, you can send a level 6 or higher spellcaster monster from your deck to the grave to be able to special summon this card, which is an amazing ability to be able to send your copy of Illusion of Chaos directly from your deck to the graveyard to summon your copy of Magician Souls. Illusion of Chaos is in the deck as a 1-of to be able to send to the graveyard off your copy of Magician Souls, and is also a searcher for Magician Souls, which is why I just play 2 copies and 1 of the Magician Souls and Illusion of Chaos. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Terraforming. Terraforming is really good as a 1-of in the deck, so we actually have multiple field spells we can search off this card in this build. We play a single copy of Chicken Game. Chicken Game lets us draw a card, which is why I play this card as a 1-of in the deck. We then play 2 copies of Secret Village of the Spellcaster. Secret Village is great to be able to establish a copy of Window on your side of the field. This means your opponent is not going to be able to special summon except for once per turn, and they can't activate spell cards as long as you have Secret Village on your side of the field, and you control a Spellcaster monster, which is absolutely amazing to be able to do, and it's a really good 2-of in the build to be able to search off your copy of Terraforming, or just activate this card with a copy of Silent Magician on the field to really lock down the opponent. We then play a single copy of Spellbook of the Master. This card can basically copy the effect of your Spellbook cards, which is really cool because if you control a Spellcaster monster, you can reveal one of their Spellbook card in your hand and then target a Spellbook normal spell card in your graveyard, and then this card's effect becomes that target's effect, which is a great ability just to copy one of your card's effects in the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Spellbook of Power. I really like this card as a 1-of in the deck, because this card gives one of our Spellcaster monsters 1,000 additional attack points. Also, until the end phase, each time it destroys an opponent's monster of battle, we get to add a Spellbook spell card from our deck to our hand, which is a great effect to help us go in for game. We then play a single copy of Spellbook of Wisdom. Spellbook of Wisdom is really cool as a 1-of in the deck, just to give us protection from spells or traps on one of our spellcasters. We then play 2 copies of Spellbook of Fate. Spellbook of Fate is definitely a 2-of in build because this card has 3 awesome abilities that if you control a Spellcaster type monster, you can banish up to 3 Spellbook spell cards from your graveyard, and then you apply the effect depending on the amount that you banished. If you just banish 1, you return a set spell or trap on the field back to the hand. If you banish 2, you change 1 monster on the field to face down defense position like Book of Moon, or face up attack position, or you non-targeting banish a card your opponent controls, which is a great effect to be able to use this card as a spot remover off the field. We then play 3 copies of Spellbook of Secrets. Spellbook of Secrets is really cool as a 3-of in the build because this card is basically the rotor for the deck, letting you add any Spellbook spell card you want from your deck to your hand, or even a Spellbook monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool effect for this card to have. We then play 3 copies of Spellbook of Knowledge. Spellbook of Knowledge is a draw 2, which is why I play this card as a 3-of in the build to help us dig into the deck for the exact cards that we need. We then play 3 copies of Spellbook of Judgment. Spellbook of Judgment is one of the most powerful cards in the entire deck. This card is absolutely broken, with the ability that during the end phase of the turn this card was activated, you get to add Spellbook spell cards from your deck to your hand, except a copy of Judgment, up to the number of spell cards activated after this card's resolution. Then you can special summon from your deck a Spellcaster type monster whose level is less than or equal to the number of cards added to your hand by this effect, meaning we can usually summon out our copy of Jowgen off this card's effect to basically lock down the opponent from special summoning, which is absolutely amazing. We then play 3 copies of Nadir's Servant. Nadir's Servant is definitely a 3-of in the build. We play a lot of targets in the extract to be able to use this card to search out our copies of Maximus or Ecclesia directly from our deck to our hand off this card's ability. The only downside of this card is it does lock us out of the extract, but we don't summon from the extract all that often anyways, so this card is amazing to play in the build as a 3-of. We then play 3 copies of Upstart Goblin. Upstart Goblin is definitely a 3-of in the build, just to help us dig into the deck for the exact cards that we need, because you want to be drawing cards in this build and activating spell cards so you can get to your combo pieces, so Upstart Goblin is a definite 3-of in the build. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 2, and that's going to be a single copy of Dogmatic Punishment and a single copy of Shadow Schism. These cards are really good at 1 each because your copy of Punishment helps you pop cards on the field, and depending on what you send from your extract to the graveyard off this card's effect, you can either get an additional draw, an additional pop, or you can actually use this card to recover a water monster out of the graveyard, depending on what you send. Shadow Schism is amazing because this card helps you go in for your copy of Winda, because you can search this card off of your copy of Apocalypse to be able to use Apocalypse and a dark monster in your graveyard to be able to make your copy of Window, which is amazing to be able to use this card to be able to do that, because Apocalypse actually searches this card and Maximus sets it all up, which is amazing. This card is ability during the main phase, you can fusion summon a Shadow Fusion monster from your extract by banishing fusion materials listed on it from the field or the grave, but it cannot attack directly. Then you can send 1 monster to the graveyard that your opponent controls with the same attribute as that monster that you fusion summon, meaning if your opponent summons out a dark monster, we can actually banish or even just deal that dark monster off the field, which is great to be able to just send that dark monster to the graveyard because we banish the materials and fusion summoned into our copy of Winda, which is absolutely amazing. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with a single copy of Winda. Winda's definitely a one-of in the build, and this card is amazing as a boss monster to be able to play in the deck, as it makes it so both players can only special summon once per turn. Plus, this card is a spellcaster monster, so when you establish this and your copy of Secret Village, it really locks down the opponent so that they basically cannot activate spells and only can special summon once per turn. If you play a single copy of a Pokemon, we're never summoning out this card, we're just sending it to the graveyard off our copy of Nadir or our copy of Maximus to be able to discard a card and add a copy of Schism from our deck to our hand. Then we can use Schism plus any dark monster in this card to be able to step into our copy of Winda. We play a single copy of Titaniclad because it's a great target to be able to send to the graveyard, so we can use its effect to summon out our copy of Ecclesia directly from our deck to our side of the field, which is amazing to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Elder Emptiness to be able to pop cards on the field with our copy of Punishment, one copy of Garua. Garua is amazing to be able to use to just draw an additional card. I absolutely love that about this card. We also play the Tri-Brigade Arms to be able to send to the graveyard alongside this card to guarantee we're going to have a dark target in the graveyard for our copy of our Shadow Schism. You can play a single copy of Totally Awesome. We're never summoning this card either. We're just using it as a Nadir target or a copy of Punishment or even a copy of Dogmatic of Punishment or Maximus's effect. You'll send this card to the graveyard so we can actually recover our copy of our Magician from our graveyard, the Spellbook Magician, because it's actually a water monster, and this card, when it touches the graveyard, lets you add a water monster from your graveyard to your hand. We can play a single copy of Typhon. Typhon's just really good in the deck overall because it belongs in just about every single deck because it's a great boss monster. We can play a single copy of the Tri-Brigade Arms. Tri-Brigade Arms is just in the deck to be able to use as a Dogmatic Punishment target. It's 3,500 attack points, and it basically sends your copy of Grua to the graveyard, so you also get a draw. You can play a single copy of Access Code to be able to pop multiple cards on the field and just go in for game. One copy of Selene, because we are playing a spellcaster-based deck, and this card helps us step into our copy of Access Code. One copy of SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight is a double interruption, but if you don't have this card, you can play a copy of Nightmare Phoenix or Unicorn instead. You can play a single copy of Crowley. Crowley is just a good option in the build, and this card is the ability, if this card is Link Summon, you get to reveal 3 spell cards with different names that are Spellbook cards in your deck, and your opponent randomly picks one of them to add to your hand. Also shuffle the rest back in the deck, which is a great ability to reveal any 3 Spellbook cards with different names, and then you basically get to grab one. This card also has a really cool ability that each turn you can actually normal summon a level 5 rare spellcaster monster without tributing, which is a really cool effect. You can play a single copy of Alamirage. Alamirage is great to be able to normal summon out your copy of your Magician to your side of the field, and then link it away for Alamirage, and then link Alamirage away for your copy of Secure Gardener, so you can have a monster that was special summoned in the X deck in the graveyard to banish, so you can summon out your copy of Maximus, and then finally play a single copy of Artemis. Artemis is just a good option to be able to play in the build. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Silent Magician Spellbook deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try, because I absolutely love summoning out Silent Magician to my side of the field, because it's just a really awesome boss monster. It can get absolutely massive, especially with Spellbook of Judgment. I think you add a bunch of Spellbook spell cards directly from your deck to your hand during the end phase, which is just absolutely amazing. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can come part of our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.